A few years ago, I attended a seminar at the Institute of Education, which was held and sponsored by Tower Hamlets, and I realised that looked after children didn't do as well academically as other children. That took me aback as an educator, and I remember thinking, why is that? The children that are the most vulnerable, that need the most support, haven't got as many A star to C's as other children. It set me on the path of fostering, and I remember really being interested in researching and thinking about the difference it can make if that support is given at home. To me, I was very passionate because while schools have all the systems set up and all the support and the professionals, it is at the home that often the child spends, and that is the key time when that child can be supported effectively. During that time, I resigned from my post as a deputy. I ensured that I wanted to continue working in education, and as I was qualifying as a foster carer, I became a supply teacher in a school in South London. It was a really interesting experience for me because I was back, after 10 years, I was back to grassroots teaching, and it made me realise how hard the teaching professional's job has become. It has become more accountable. You are asked to be an expert on statistics. On top of your teaching and learning, you're having to look at a different range of needs and a changing climate of teaching within the industry. It was a really key time for me to realise what was happening to teachers and how to support them effectively, and to realise that actually the children haven't changed, but we've got to make sure that we're still delivering while looking after ourselves. In December 2017, I was headhunted by a Muslim school, and that was very interesting for me. Although I wear the hijab, my premise has always been I work in schools that have diverse communities and have diverse faiths. It was an interesting journey, and I was invited by the head to go and visit. Joining the Muslim school was an interesting experience. Because of the challenging climate that we have for Muslims, it was interesting for me to go in and see what was happening on a daily basis within the Muslim school setup. It was a pleasant surprise because in that school I realised that you still have excellent practitioners, you have children who want to learn, you have parents who are just as ambitious, but also parents who are slightly aware of the changing needs of the Muslim child. In the media at the moment, many of the journalists actually say that Muslim schools demand the wearing of the hijab. Yet if you went to this particular school in South London, the hijab is optional for those young girls. It is really important that as an educator, I came in on an environment where although the children were Muslim, a lot of the staff were diverse. There were non-Muslim teachers, there were teachers who were Muslim, who all worked together in partnership for the children. The staff room conversations were just the same as I would have in another school, but in that school it was a non-faith school. They were just people, and the children were just children. The same situations happened as they would in any other school. It was a really big learning curve for me because I had to learn how to behave in a Muslim school. So although I wore the hijab, there was many things I learned. For example, I tried to shake my hands with one of the young boys, and he actually said, "Miss, I can't shake your hand." I had to learn that. In another school, it wouldn't be a problem, but this was about the ethos of the school. To me, music is really important, and using music as a way to teach children, or using lyrics from famous songs like the Beatles, has been a really key way to support children or help children understand key issues. At this particular school, I wasn't allowed to use music, so I had to be creative in showing them the same messages but using visual images, but also using the work of great philosophers like Gandhi, Confucius, Rumi in order to use examples of my teaching. In addition, I used also teachings of the Quran. I had to learn myself about things about the Quran that I hadn't realised, and it deepened my faith and my understanding. But the bottom line of it all was to say to the children that we are all people. We must always respect every faith. We must always be tolerant, and we must be respectful to anybody regardless of their background. I was there during the time of the London terror attacks, and it was really important for me to see that the governors and the head were very strong in making sure they did not condone those attacks. The children had discussions about them, and it was really important for them to understand that terrorism is wrong and that we must always make sure that we try to live peacefully as much as we can.